everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Talking with Our Traders. This space was specifically designed to give unprecedented insights from our expert traders as they preview this weekend's upcoming matchups. I'm the host, Cindy Edwards, and with me today is Craig Mucklow, Vice President of Trading at Caesars Sportsbook.
Hello there.
Next, Adam Pullen, Assistant Director of Trading here at Caesars.
Hello, everyone.
And then we have Head of College Football, Joey Fiesel.
Hello.
What's up, guys? How's your week going?
Going great.
So good. Mid-November.
How was your vacation, Adam? We missed you last week.
Oh, it was nice. Thank
It
you.
was nice?
Yes.
All right,
Appreciate
good.
it.
Did you miss us?
Of course I did.
Okay. Had to reach for that one, but let's get into it. Let's start off with something a little bit unusual. Formula One's Las Vegas Grand Prix is set to start this week in Las Vegas. We're all from here. Can you guys preview it?
Yeah, this is probably the most anticipated Formula One race in a long time. Obviously having the world's best drivers, the world's fastest cars traveling down the strip at 200 miles an hour. It's going to be a sight to be seen. Although some locals here in town might have the anticipation, or they're just more waiting for it to be over to create a lot of headaches, but it's going to be a great event. As far as betting goes, it's going to be a record handle for Caesars for a Formula One race ever. It's going to be interesting to see how the betting goes, even though, like I said, we've already eclipsed the record handle. Auto racing is a niche sport. There's only certain people like to bet it every week, usually the same amount, the betting amount every week. But this obviously is going to change. The clientele that loves Formula One, they have a lot of money. It's going to be interesting to see how much money they're putting down on all the markets we're offering. And we're not just offering markets just to win the race. You can bet on practice, you can bet on qualifying. So many different ways to bet here at Caesars. So check out the app and check out what we have offered. But as far as who's favored, it's Max Verstappen. He's won 17 out of 20 races this season. A complete domination of Formula One. Red Bull, his team, they've won 19 out of 20 races. So their team has only lost one all year. He's going to be tough to beat. He's right now at minus 225, so you're having to lay a price to win, which is not very appetizing for a lot of people. They want a little bang for their buck. Lando Norris is a second favorite, 7.5 to 1. Then you got Charles Leclerc at 12. Lewis Hamilton, obviously one of the most popular drivers, 14 to 1, and so on and so on. But it's going to be tough to beat Max. He's just that great a driver, and he has that by far the best equipment. But it's a street course. All the races he's lost this year have been on street courses in Saudi Arabia, Azerbaijan, and Singapore. So usually in street courses, it kind of opens itself up for maybe a little more uncertainty. Qualifying is extremely important, so you have to qualify well. But he's going to be tough to beat. But the anticipation is high, at least for myself. I'm a big motorsports fan, so can't wait to see how the action is, and can't wait to see those cars traveling down the strip at those high speeds. It's going to be a sight, that's for sure.
Christian Horner, who's the husband of Ginger Spice.
That's right.
And the boss of Red Bull.
Mm-hmm.
So he's described the track as an upside-down pig. So have a look, see what you think. See it?
It does look like an upside down
just see
pig. Jail.
So my original theory of it being a street course, so when I was researching, I was trying to compare it to Monaco. But I'm pretty off from what the research I've done anyway. So literally the fastest car wins, because this is expected to be the second fastest average race speed of the year, Monza being the fastest. So they anticipate 237 kilometers per hour average speed. In English, that's 147 miles per hour, which is a fact for you. It's actually 147 miles per hour faster than anyone could go down the strip at the moment, given all the road work. The reason being that the fastest is because the straight along the strip is 1.2 miles long along the Las Vegas Boulevard, and that's the longest straight of any course. As I was looking, so I compared against Monza, given the lack of turns. So Verstappen's won the last 2 races in Monza. Mercedes actually have won 7 since 2010. So as Adam said, like Verstappen's a bit too short for that kind of price. It is still a street circuit, so maybe there's value in Hamilton or Russell at plus 420 and plus 1600 in the without Verstappen market. But fun fact, in 1981, Formula One actually had the race here. There's the picture right behind you.
Yeah, right behind
and
us.
it was actually a circuit laid out in Caesars Palace Palace Casino parking lot.
That's pretty cool.
That's That's a hat tip to the people who designed Caesar's Palace parking lot, because you can't have a race around any of the others.
Awesome.
That back parking lot at Caesars has a lot of history, especially with boxing too.
Yeah,
Boxing,
yeah.
Yeah. Now I'm looking at all these photos behind us. They're pretty cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, for a girl who doesn't know anything about Formula One, that was a great preview. Except for the Netflix show. I have watched the Netflix show.
It's a good show.
Yeah, it is. Okay, well, let's get into some college football. Joey, what does your college football playoff look like?
Well, how much time do you have? No, I'm kidding. No, this will be the last year of the 14 playoff. Hopefully the last year of the Pepe Sylvia bulletin board for all you Always Sunny in Philadelphia fans. But my college football playoff is as such today. Number one, I have Michigan. This team has proven to be the most consistent throughout the year. Despite the controversy, they're number one in the country. Michigan's path is very simple. They need to beat Ohio State next week. Doesn't matter what happens in the Iowa Big Ten game that no one's going to want to watch. And we currently have the spread for the Ohio State-Michigan game up on the website. Michigan minus 6.5, so I expect them to be the superior team, and I expect them to get it done. Number two, Georgia, going for the three-peat. Their path is pretty simple. They have to get past Alabama in the SEC title game that's already set. We also have that line on the website. A little bit smaller than the Michigan-Ohio State game. We have Georgia minus 3.5, so that should be more competitive, but it's going to be hard to keep them out of that game. They seem to be getting their stride late in the year. Brock Bowers is back, so they're another team to mess with. Number three, Florida State. Although they've had some tougher games as of late, it doesn't, they have a very clear path. They should be undefeated. They'll be probably about 10-point favorites if they play Louisville in the ACC title game. So it's theirs to lose. Florida State has been known to Florida State in the past, but if you look at their resume, they're the only team that's really made Jaden Daniels look human in that first game of the year. Very impressive. It's not been the greatest as of late, but I expect them to get in it. Number four, I have Oregon. Despite the one loss to Washington, I think this Oregon team definitely deserves to be in the playoff. They're definitely one of the top four most dominant teams in the country on both sides of the ball. Have the best offensive players with Bo Nix and Bucky Irving. I think the best quarterback-running back combo. I expect them to win out and beat Washington in the Pac-12 title right here in our backyard at Allegiant Stadium. And then if we look at the teams that aren't going to make it, right out, I think number five, I have Texas. I expect Texas probably to win out, become the Big 12 champions. They're going to be kind of left out of the picture because of Florida State. It'll be interesting to see my next one on the list, Alabama. If Alabama wins the SEC title game, how the committee is going to treat it because Texas beat Alabama. So that's when you get in that little Always Sunny, things going everywhere. Number six, Alabama. The Cinderella story, as many Alabama fans in this building are saying. It's ludicrous.
Oh, my God.
But it should be, yeah. I mean, their path is simple. Beat Georgia, they should be in. But again, they're going to talk with the Texas situation because the committee has shown that they do consider the record and they do consider the resume as a big part of it. That's what I got so far.
So my logic now of make it abundantly clear why Joey is head of college football and I am not. First of all, I don't think Florida State gets in unless one of the Pac-12 teams loses two. So Washington's a dog this weekend. They've got a tough rivalry game the week after. Oregon's still got a couple of tough games as well. They've got Oregon State to close. So a two-loss Pac-12 champion, that's the only way I see Florida State getting in. So I went backwards. The other easy one is if it's a one-loss Pac-12 championship winner, they're in. So it's either Washington or Oregon, not both. Then the winner of Ohio State or Michigan gets in. So it's one or the other. So then that left any two from three. You following still? Because I'm not. If Alabama beats Georgia in the SEC title game, I think they both get in because of the resume. If Georgia beats Alabama, I think it's Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State. And I still think Florida gets
you got Ohio State over.
And I never even looked at Texas.
You didn't even consider Old Texas. It's so rude.
Speaking of, did you see Tom Brady's little side bet with CJ Stroud?
Is that an actual bet?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's on Twitter, so I'd say it's an actual bet. That's the rule, right?
Okay.
He has Super Bowl rings to spare, so what's one less?
What's one? I wonder which one he would give away.
The Bucks one, surely.
The Bucks one?
No, actually, no. He would keep that one because he proved he can win it without everything else.
Right.
Yeah.
That was a good one, yeah.
Probably be one in the middle, like the 3 or the 4. You don't really need that one, right?
Oh, as far as my playoff,
Thank you.
like if anybody wants to know, I got Georgia 1. I think they're going to take care of business. I got Michigan 2nd. I think they'll beat Ohio State. 3rd, like Craig said, I think it's going to be Oregon. I think they went out. They should have beaten Washington. But again, there's so many different scenarios that can happen. Oregon could lose to Oregon State. Washington could lose this week. They're an underdog, and they could lose next week to Washington State. So who knows what's going to happen. But I think when the dust settles, I'm going to say Oregon for now. And then 4th, I have Florida State. I just, like Joey said, they have too easy of a road. They should be able to take care of business. And it's going to be tough for a Power 5 school, undefeated, not to make the Final Four. But we've seen crazier things happen before.
Sure.
That is true. All right. Can you discuss the Heisman race? Looks like there is a new favorite in Bo Nix, and Jaden Daniels had a historic performance. Does he have a shot, Joey?
Yeah, he's got a shot. We're inching towards the end of the season, and to no one's surprise, there's big moves in the Heisman market this week. Jaden Daniels, who was ruled out, or he wasn't ruled out, but he went out of that Alabama game in a loss, was in concussion protocol, progresses through the week, and then like Undertaker just shows up, puts up 600 yards, 350 in the air, 250 on the ground, 5 touchdowns. He's in the Heisman race. And it really sparked a debate this week of should it be a playoff contention team or is it the best player in college football? I think there's no doubt he's probably the best player in college football, but he's going to struggle because part of the regular season is that conference championship weekend. LSU cannot be there. So he's going to be reliant on other players to fall short. Obviously, Marvin Harrison Jr., if they lose to Michigan, they're not going to be in there, so he'd be out. But if it is Washington and Oregon in the Pac-12 title game, and it is a shootout, good luck. I mean, it's going to be probably one of them. That's going to be your Heisman Trophy ceremony. It's going to be that game right over here at Allegiant Stadium. So it's interesting. Crazier things can happen. I think Jaden Daniels has a great future. He's been on my radar since he transferred to LSU. But I think he's going to fall short that he's one game short, essentially.
Evans, Nix, plus 350 Penix, plus 350 Daniels, plus 550 Harrison Jr. There's 4-horse race, it's 30-1 bar. The argument was in the football meeting on Monday about a 3-loss team. We were trying to remember who it was. They'll probably make a huge push to get all the stats they can the last games that they've got. But then I missed the point. They're not playing in the last one, so that's probably what's hurt them.
They got Georgia State this week, and who's the last game?
Georgia State this week, and then Texas A&M without Jimbo. So it's hard to have a Heisman moment in those games because you're going to be expected to win. But I mean, he puts up big numbers every week. So
yeah, but it's like you say, I think majority of people look for those big games. How you play in the big game? Like like Joey said, if it's Oregon, Washington, you kind of think it's whoever wins that game, and as long as they put up any decent stats, because that one extra game is huge, standalone game, everybody's going to be watching it. Yeah, it's going to take a lot for Daniels, even though he's super impressive and obviously would be justified in winning the Heisman, but I think it's going to be one of those two.
Yeah. All right, we'll see. Can you preview Washington versus Oregon State?
Yes, line opened up as a pick in this good Pac-12 matchup, which was probably surprising to most. Everybody would have thought, why isn't Washington the big favorite? Penix has been phenomenal all year long, but this Oregon State team is pretty good. On top of that, there is something in the water in Corvallis. They're 16-1 since 2021 at home against the spread. DJU transferred over from Clemson last year. They've been sneakily good. They lost two close games, Washington State and Arizona. But those are two pretty decent teams. Washington State was better probably in the beginning of the year than they are now. But yeah, this should be a very good game. Oregon State is a very good defensive team. DJU again, they run the ball very well. Washington has known to struggle, and then they kind of pull it out in the fourth quarter. Could be another one of those games, but Oregon State definitely wants this a little more than Washington.
Penix has been turnover prone the last couple of games. 4 of the last 5 games, he's got 5 of his 7 picks on the year. There is rain, so 60% chance of rain on this game, but it's an absolute must-win for Washington. Otherwise, Florida State are in and I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's been interesting to see how the betting goes, but usually people are going to look at it and they're going to see 10-0 Washington as a slight underdog, and they're going to do a double take. So we'll likely need Oregon State, but they have a lot of respect. They deserve a lot of respect. Their home record's phenomenal, and they're a solid team. So, yeah, like Joey said, only a couple of losses, and they were 3-point losses, I think, to both those Washington State and Arizona. So, if you're just looking and you see the rankings and then you see an undefeated team as an underdog, some people are going to be quick to jump on Washington. So I'm sure we'll need the Beavers in this one, and I'm okay with taking Washington on this spot.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to NFL. Crazy week in the NFL last week. Let's do updated power rankings. Who would like to start?
I'll start since Craig is going to have a problem with mine, so we'll get that over. I have 49ers. Trent Williams back, Debo back. They look like they're back. They're back in number 1. Ravens number 2, despite the loss. It's kind of a fluky loss. Eagles 3, Chiefs 4, and then Lions/Cowboys for the 5th spot. Go ahead, Craig. What do you got to say?
Ravens 1, 49ers 2. I did have the Browns as 3 until last night and the injury this morning.
They're out of them.
Now they're 7th, which then puts the Chiefs, the Eagles, and the Lions. So we've got the same 5.
Look at that.
Look at
Look at you, right
History
in time for the performance review.
Interesting that happened.
All right, Adam.
It's the same 5, but different order. I've got Eagles, Chiefs, Niners, Ravens,
That would
Lions.
be called home.
No, I'm not a homer. If anybody knows me, I'm not a homer. But look, the Eagles, they have the best record in football. Obviously, this week is going to be a big game, and we'll see. I mean, it's a great game to have Monday night. We'll talk about that later. But I'm not a homer. If anybody, years in this industry have made me.
It knocks it out of you pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the fandom goes.
Oh yeah.
Well, you all had the same team, so.
Somebody looked at my notes.
Okay, let's move on. I mentioned it this morning, but CJ Stroud hype is real right now. Some people are even saying he's him.
What does him mean?
Craig, you don't know what him means?
Nope, I didn't know what mid was either. So.
It basically means he's the guy.
The man,
He's,
the guy, same
he's the
3
guy.
letters.
Yeah.
Okay.
Athletes like LeBron James, Joe Burrow, they've been known to use I'm him. Just means,
Calling themselves.
yeah, so
Okay.
he's him.
All right.
He's the guy. Can he win MVP?
Good.
Go ahead, Craig. Yeah.
So first of all, I disagree that he's him. He leads the league in 2 categories: passing yards per game barely, but the most impressive one as a rookie is the interception percentage, which is like 0.6 or something, which is tremendous. But what's helped Houston the most and what's helped CJ Stroud the most is they've improved both sides of the ball. So they had the 2nd pick and the 3rd pick last year. So improvement year on year. They're actually the 4th best offensively, so they've gained 6 points per game behind Miami, Baltimore, and Indy. On the opposite side, they're 2nd best on defensive improvement year on year, behind the Chiefs, which we said last week about the Chiefs' improvement, with almost 5 points per game improvement. So that's an 11-point swing. There's only 3 teams that have improved year on year by a touchdown or more: Texans, Ravens, Colts. He's 22-1 for the MVP. He was 75 before the game last week. The answer is no for me. There's too many contenders with far less losses, better stats. But if he was to do it, he's going to be in rarefied air because the late, great Jim Brown was the only one to do Offensive Rookie of the Year and MVP same year. They're mighty shoes to fill.
Yeah. No, I mean, and we've talked about awards and how crazy they are. I mean, anything's possible. We talk about how narratives drive betting and drive voters vote. So is it possible? I don't think so, but the way he's playing now, I mean, the interceptions is the biggest thing.
Oh, that's huge.
Only 2 the whole year. I mean, all the other quarterbacks, Josh Allen, Mahomes, Hurts, all have way more than C.J. Stroud. So he's shown the poise. You know, the team gets down late, he drives them right down the field. Is it possible? I think it's highly unlikely, but we still got a long way to go in the season. But you know, what he's done has been tremendous. He's obviously sewn up the Offensive Rookie of the Year award. But MVP it's going to be a stretch, but they just got to keep winning games, and if he plays like he has been playing, why can't he be in the mix?
Yeah, it's a tall order for him to win MVP. I think a couple things have to happen. They have to win the division over the Jags, and they just have to get more of convincing wins down the road. I mean, everybody likes to see a 2-minute drill, someone drive down the field, win the game. Your Patrick Mahomes, your Tom Brady, your Peyton Mannings have done it, and what's so impressive about Stroud is he's the rookie. And really, shout out to the Texans for, and not shout out to the Panthers for picking Bryce Young over Stroud. I mean, I think
So far.
for a while there when we were booking the draft, we had, when the Panthers went up and got the pick, we initially thought Stroud because he was, in our opinion, the best quarterback, and then they went the Bryce Young route. So good for the Texans for getting him. For to be a rookie and to do those 2-minute drills, to put up those numbers, to throw only 2 interceptions in the year, it is impressive, but it's going to be a tough road for MVP.
All right, we're not buying.
And the Panthers did beat the Texans.
It's true.
It's their only win.
This weekend we saw 6 game-winning field goals. Which last-second win was the best for our customers?
The best, if we were just cold hard look, it was the Lions. That was the best one. And how ironic it was that Detroit went for it on 4th and 2 to make sure the Chargers never got the ball back. So your boy Dan Campbell teaching Brandon Staley the analytics works.
Yeah.
But there was one that actually didn't go for customers, which was significant, and that was the Cowboys not kicking a field goal at all because every other team had kicked a field goal that Sunday, and we have a promo for it. Even your Patriots kicked a field goal. That
is
one
saying
went on.
something, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a rough one.
I think it was definitely Detroit. Had to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
The other results that went big time the customers' way, 49ers didn't need a field goal, didn't need anything. It's like they won handily.
All right. Well, we've talked about it all season, but any ideas why the unders in primetime games keep hitting?
Want me to take this
Go
since
ahead.
it's my baby?
This is this is all you.
So when I first moved to Vegas many years ago, religiously I would just bet the first half under on primetime games without fail. Didn't matter what the number was, always. And even people now, they'll always joke with me if I'm watching a game with them. You're on the first half under. Not anymore. But there is reasons. So in 2016, it hit like 65% of the first half under, and the odds compilers saw the angle, started moving the number and changed the ratio to the game. So the overs are always inflated because it's a primetime game. You have to trade the money. The money comes for the over, so you have to move that number up, which creates value. It's on national TV. There's tons of pressure. So there are other reasons. But then when you break it down, over the last 6 years, you're getting almost 2 points of value on prime time versus the actual pre-game for the year. The 2022 and this year so far, last year ended 15-1 of the last 16 games, and the last 16 on full game have gone 15-1 this year. It's absolutely insane, but it's 78% this year on the under. It was 64% last year, and it's 54% the year before, so it's climbed up. So we've got cuter to the number and the ratio, because the ratio's got lesser as well, as opposed to what it usually is. 50-50, but it's not the case, you know that. But the ratio's lowered down as well. So there you go, that's and now everybody's known my cash cow's out.
Yeah, I'll agree with the under king of the Caesars Sportsbook office. But I think it's unders all over are hitting for the
60%.
NFL,
Yeah.
60% of the time. So if you're just blindly betting unders, it's been a good season for you.
But you're still getting 1.5 points of value this year on a primetime game.
Yeah, pretty wild.
It'll be a good test Monday night. Eagles, Chiefs, two teams. People
Yeah,
love
is
to
it the
bet.
matchups?
So I did break it down last night by totals to see if there was any, and between the 40 and the 44.5 range was even higher.
Yeah.
Because they're key numbers. You got 41, 44, and if you're getting a half point,
Right.
Big value.
It's been the trend of the big story trend of the year. So it's crazy. I mean, different games are in the 50s. It doesn't matter. It's just you just blindly bet under. But look, we've adjusted to it. It's our job to adjust to different trends and how things are going. You can't look at last year and say, well, that's how we've been doing it. You have to adjust quickly, and the public bets it too. It's like usually the public used to just blindly bet over. It's a primetime game, standalone game. We're going to usually need the under. it's not like that anymore. I mean, yes, usually we need the under, but the public's gotten smarter. They're seeing all these trends, and they're adjusting themselves. So, but yeah, it's amazing the numbers. Can't deny it.
Yeah, definitely. I know it used to be like an insult if you bet the under. Like
That's why I
yeah,
do it.
people would be like justice for
Who wants
the
to watch the
unders.
low-scoring game?
Yeah.
That's why I always bet 0 at the roulette table, because it upsets everybody else at the table.
You always
Oh,
hear
I
people
gotcha.
say, and one of my friends says, "I'll never bet an under." 'Cause I
Right.
always- yeah, you hear that.
Yes.
Because I'm never out of it if I have an over. How
Yeah.
can you go wrong with that logic?
Good point.
All right. Well, moving on. Can you guys break down the close AFC North race?
I'll start.
Good.
Obviously, Deshaun Watson going down from the Browns hurt their chances. They're going to go with Bishop Gorman, quarterback, DTR, which I am always excited to see him get on the field. It didn't go well in the beginning of the part of the season. I'm hoping for better. Steelers sneakily won 3 out of the last 4 games, but I've yet to see a Steelers game and say, wow, this team is a Super Bowl contender. So, be interesting. I think it's the Ravens' division to lose. Number 2 in my power rankings. I think they're priced correctly at minus 110 to win the division. They again really lack the consistency, but I think Craig will be the biggest fan of this. I think the coaching, they're going to find their weaknesses and correct them as we get closer to the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, before the Deshaun Watson news, this was the only division that had the plus money as the favourite, so every team was plus money. Baltimore were plus 115 before the injury, now they're minus 110. Obviously, they're my number 1 team, but they've got the 3rd toughest schedule closing, and they've only got games against 2 sub-500 teams. But they are the best team, and if you want to win the Super Bowl, you've got to beat what's in front of you. The Bengals obviously moved down as a result of the injury, so they went from plus 525 to plus 410. Bengals division chances are determined tomorrow night. Absolutely. If you two back from Baltimore and they've got a losing record in the division, it's over. And their schedule is hard. They've got the 6th hardest remaining schedule. The thing going for the Browns, and if you want it, I mean, they've got the 24th easiest schedule. They were 3rd best. They've performed without Watson when he's played anyway. They've got 2 home games against. They've got a divisional matchup this week. They've got Baltimore again. There might be some value in the Browns at plus 475. The Steelers, their season's determined. Their chances of winning the division is determined in the next 2 weeks. Cleveland and Cincinnati, both on the road. So I mean, if you're having an interest, your ticket's going to be very lively the next 2 weeks. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, it's a great division. Obviously, every team with a winning record. But yeah, everything that Craig said. The Bengals. This is it for them. They're 0-2 division record. Can't drop another divisional game. They lost to the Ravens at home earlier. That was week 2, but they always lose week 2. So yeah, there's a lot on the line, and the Browns are quarterback issues. They seem to be a team. I'm not the biggest Deshaun Watson fan. I don't think he made them that much better. Obviously, DTR is a less capable quarterback than Watson. But P.J. Walker did an admirable job. They have a good defense. So maybe the Browns are a team that can surprise, and this is not the death knell with Deshaun Watson being out for the year that some people think it is. But yeah, like Joey said, I think it's the Ravens to lose. I think they're definitely the best team. Steelers have been a surprise, but some people you might hear say they're the worst 6-3 team I've ever seen.
Yeah,
so,
I would agree.
but
And did you guys
kudos to them.
see-
It's all about winning games.
Yeah.
So.
Did you guys see LeBron's comment?
No.
He compared the Lakers to the Steelers in a bad way, obviously. He was like, we're like the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like, we are outscored by everyone, but we're still winning. Something along those lines. And the Steelers players heard of it, and they were just kind of like, oof. But,
Yeah, look, the Browns are not out of it just because of the quarterback injuries. Watson's worth 3.5, maybe 4 points. And he's probably 4, judging by the market moves today. But because of that loss, they've only gone from 3rd to 7th on my ratings anyway. So there might be value there because the schedule's easy.
yeah.
Yep.
All right, well, let's get into some game previews. We have some good primetime games this week.
All
There
on
is,
it,
Yeah. Let's start with Thursday Night Football, Bengals versus Ravens. You mentioned it. Both coming off surprising losses. Let's preview it.
Yeah, finally we get a great Thursday night game.
Yeah.
You can't ask for a better game. We talked about it just
Right.
now, how big this game is for the Bengals and the Ravens, obviously. Game opened 3.5 and 44. It's now 4 and 46. More money on the Bengals so far, but we'll see what the next day and a half what it brings up in action. But yeah, both teams coming off of surprising home losses to Houston and Cleveland. The Ravens won, like I said, in week 2, but the Bengals always lose in week 2. So we'll see if there's a revenge angle for the Bengals. But yeah, no, it's tough. This is the Bengals season. If they lose this one, it's going to be a tough road to hoe to get back into the playoffs. So, but it's a good game. I'm excited to have a good Thursday night game. So it's a big change from what we've seen in recent weeks. So people will be excited. I know that.
Yeah, like you said, this is do or die for the Bengals. Weather doesn't look like it's going to be a factor. The Bengals they got their backs against the wall. They're going to have to start swinging.
Everybody's knocking the Thursday games, but let me give some credit here. So the last 4 have been decided by a touchdown or less. So they've been close games. Just on paper, they just have not looked good. But this is
when
the
you
first.
Put the team names in there.
Yeah, when you and I did put it when I sent out the email last week. Like, try saying the Bears Panthers with a straight face in prime time. The first time since weeks 1 and 2 that we've had winning teams against each other. The Bengals have covered 4 of the last 5 in Baltimore, but the Ravens have won 4 of the 5 straight up. This is the second time the Bengals were a road dog this year. They beat the 49ers in San Francisco 31-17 as a 4-point dog. And then if you look back at the Bengals' last 5 years versus AFC teams as a road dog of 4 points or less, the under's 6-1, but they're 5-2 against the spread. So it looked to me, I'm convincing myself that the Ravens win but don't cover.
What do you guys think? Who you like?
I like the Bengals on the side. I don't know if they actually get the win, but I do think they're going to remain competitive. So
It's a divisional
Bengals.
game.
Yeah, I'd agree. I would say Bengals taking forward.
This still doesn't mean I'm taking a side.
All right, perfect. Moving on to Sunday Night Football, Vikings versus Broncos. Broncos are on a win streak, beating the Chiefs and the Bills, but Josh Dobbs has been pretty impressive as well. So let's preview it.
Yeah, line opened up 2.5, still 2.5. Broncos are coming off probably one of the luckiest games and luckiest wins. Missing the game-winning field goal only to get a second chance happens once in a lifetime. I mean, it's
Do you
ridiculous.
kick that field goal on 3rd down, or do you play the play and go 4th down?
For the time difference? This year, I probably would just do it on 3rd down because you have the time to set up, and Josh Allen hasn't been what he has been. Because it used to be like you leave 30 seconds on the clock with Josh Allen. Well, not this year.
Yeah, that was head-scratching to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, Dobbs playing well. Looks like weather might be a factor. It's going to be cold, so that doesn't help the dome team's chances. Overall, looking at this spread, I mean, the Broncos, they're on a win streak, but again, they're like one of those teams that I'm like, they're still nothing to me. So, but I think weather's going to be a factor. It does look like it should be the Vikings to win, but with the weather, I'm staying out of this one.
Denver, this is the first time in the last 5 where Denver have played on a Monday night. They were all West Coast games, so the scheduling gods were really kind to them. But this time they've had to go cross country, and yes, they're not flying Coach Adam. But they went 1-3 the following Sundays off those games off a short week. I've got the Vikings a lot stronger on the numbers, so I was quite surprised when I saw the -2. The one interesting factor, Joey's right, it's going to be cold, wet and rainy. The Broncos are 4-0 against the spread this year as a home favourite in the first half, but they've only won one of those games, the Packers, where they held on.
Yeah. No, so who would have thought a few weeks ago you see this Sunday night matchup and everybody would have been turning their heads, but yeah, both teams are playing well. The Vikings, we talked about them a few weeks ago, how they're not out of it. Dobbs has been a revelation. He's come in, has done well. Obviously they haven't beaten the best teams, but a win's a win. And this game is very important for them. They got this week, and I think they got the Raiders, and they got another easy game, maybe the Bears, before a tough ending. They play the Lions twice, and I think they play the Bengals as well. So if the Vikings win this game, they're in the mix for the playoffs. I mean, people thought, when Cousins got hurt that their season was over. Obviously, they went out and made the move to get Dobbs, and he's been solid. He was solid with Arizona. You look at their record, you're going to say no, but he didn't do that bad. So it was a great move. They're in it, and it's going to be an exciting game. And Russell Wilson, obviously, he's been way better than he has been last year. So kudos to him. So the game that originally for weeks ago we would have thought, it's actually turning out to be a decent game. And the Broncos won 3 in a row. They beat the Chiefs a few weeks ago as well.
That touchdown was insane.
Yeah. So no, it's going to be a great game. I think there's a lot on the line, and when a few weeks ago we thought that there wouldn't be. So I'm actually interested to watch this matchup.
But we like Vikings.
I would say Vikings.
I'll lean that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, gun to my head, yeah.
Next up, Monday Night Football, another really great matchup. We have Adam's Eagles versus the Chiefs. Adam, do you want to start?
Sure. I mean, let the homer start, right? Obviously, rematch of last year's Super Bowl, 38-35. The Chiefs won. I can't ask for a better Monday night game, obviously. In my power ratings, they're the top two teams, so we'll see what happens there. But yeah, it was open 2.5. It's now 2.5. It's still 2.5 and 45.5. It bounced, went to 3, back to 2.5. So it's not surprising that you had that action bouncing between 2.5 and 3. More money on the Eagles so far, slightly, but we got a long way to go as far as that goes. But bettors or with Caesars are still favoring the over, even though we talked about it. It's a primetime game. More money on the over so far. Like we said, it's going to be tough with that trend. How are people going to look at it when you have two teams that have great offenses and teams that people love to bet over? How are they going to bet that? But yeah, no, both teams coming off the bye. A lot of storylines. The biggest one is T Swift going to be at the game? I mean, obviously, she's a Philadelphia or Pennsylvania native. She's an Eagles fan. Maybe she'll show up in one of those Donna Kelsey half jerseys, with one with Travis and one with maybe DeAndre Swift. But no, it's going to be a great game. Obviously, anytime you get a rematch, a Super Bowl rematch, there's a lot on the line. Definitely the Eagles will be looking for revenge. But it's a big game for both teams, and like I said, if the Eagles win, I think that will further cement them as the top team in the league. But again, it's just it's another regular season game. But yeah, I can't ask for a better close for Week 11.
60% chance of rain, 39 degrees, it's going to be cold, and it's 30 miles an hour wind. Everybody knows the Andy Reid angle coming off a bye, but he's only actually 8-4 straight up at home coming off the bye, whereas 27-10 against. Mahomes as a favourite of less than 3 points is 15-4 against the spread, and the Monday nights are 11-1 under this year. So personally, I would not like to see a 73-point repeat, because it's usually painful on the same game parlays. But let's just hope for a good game. But with the schedule and now the Chiefs have got the Eagles, the biggest winner last week was the Dolphins, and never even played because everybody around them lost.
Mm-hmm. True.
Yeah, the Kelsey Bowl rematch, 2 evenly ranked teams.
How good was Kelsey on Thursday night in the booth?
Yeah, he was really good.
Brilliant.
He is. That might be where he heads after the league, and I think it'd be a smart decision.
Jason?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think
great.
Taylor Swift will be there.
I tried reaching out, but she didn't return.
She didn't return your call.
Maybe she'll be here the following week when they play Vegas, and you can slip her a friendship bracelet like Travis.
Yeah.
Not the same results.
Power ranking wise, I have the Eagles being better, but again, it's the Chiefs with the home field advantage. This should be an excellent game. I lean Eagles in this one. I do think they're the better team. I think just really the offense of the Chiefs just hasn't shown the offense of the past, and I think that's going to hurt them. But yeah, I can't wait to watch this one.
Arrowhead's a tough place to play too, right?
Yeah.
Very.
Yeah. Insane fans. All right, well, I'm excited for it as well. Are you guys ready for overreaction or not?
Sure.
Yes.
Always. Okay. Overreaction or not, Texans are going to win the AFC South.
Not an overreaction. Plus 250 to win the South. Currently, they've got the tiebreaker over Jacksonville courtesy of the Week 3 win.
True.
They've got the easiest schedule of the two. Talk about Lawrence being injured with his knee. They've still got a home game against the Jags, so that could pretty much cement the tiebreaker. But Houston have got to win, beat the bad teams, because they've already got losses to Indy, Atlanta, and Carolina. That doesn't help a divisional resume.
No. Not an overreaction for me as well. Only problem is Stroud's really in the spotlight this week, so that could be a distraction. The Jags were absolutely embarrassed at home against the Niners. They have a really talented group, but they just really can't move forward. So it'll be an interesting battle back and forth towards the end of the season. And yeah, I think Texans, they could win it. They just got to kind of stay focused, and Stroud's got to keep doing his things, and D'Amico Ryans is coaching a good team. So
I'll say slight overreaction. I think the Jaguars are going to come out on top, but it obviously wouldn't be a surprise if the Texans won the division. They're playing that well. Like Craig said, they got to take care. They got to take care of business. They have that one-game edge. The head-to-head. They demolished the Jaguars early in the season. So, a lot of pressure on Stroud. Now he's getting all the attention. how's he going to back it up? So it's, you can go from hero to GOAT in this league in 1 week. So, but I still think the Jaguars are the better team, even though they got lambasted last week by the Niners. Not ashamed to lose to them, but obviously losing at home by that amount was troubling. But I still think the Jags will eke it out, but certainly wouldn't be a surprise if the Texans won the division.
All right. Overreaction or not, the Bills are toast.
Not an overreaction. They had a window to get to the Super Bowl and win it this past few years. That window is closed. They just have had a game plan that's relied too heavily on Josh Allen playing perfectly, and he has played far less than perfect this year. So, yeah, I would say they are toast.
Yeah.
Stick a fork in them.
I'll agree with Joey. I mean, they're just in bad form. And, a couple of years ago we said with the Bills, all right, it's not if, but when. When are they going to get that first Super Bowl? And, don't think that maybe just this season is a precursor of years to come, but, it's definitely close for this year. So, yeah, I mean, they got a tough schedule, too. They got the Eagles, the Chiefs, Dallas, the Chargers, Dolphins. And the way their offense is playing, they fired Ken Dorsey this week. Just a lot of turmoil there in Buffalo, and, they had such high expectations these last few years. Look, I'm a rooter for the underdog. I'd love to see Buffalo finally win a Super Bowl, but it's definitely not this year. Sorry, Craig, I know you're a Dolphins fan.
As a Dolphins fan, that's the most romantic thing anybody could ever say to me. Are the Bills toast? As an odds compiler, the answer is no. They've got too much talent to write them off, but they do have the toughest schedule. That's going to hurt them. But they've also got losses to the Jets, the Pats, and the Broncos, and they've got the Jets this week. And that's before it even gets really tough with what Adam said: at the Eagles, at the Chiefs versus the Cowboys. Yeah, no. The Dolphins fan tells me yes, please. The odds compiler tells me no.
Interesting point, because I did hear someone refer to the Bills as they're a team that can literally beat any team, but they can also literally lose to any team, which is so accurate. Yeah.
They had no right to be in that game on Monday.
Mm-hmm. No.
I also saw something. Josh Allen was just getting it on social media after that.
So
game.
did all the Buffalo Bills traders in this office this
Were
week.
they?
Oh,
Yeah.
They got it for sure. They got it.
Well, yeah.
I went and said hello to them, every single one of them on Tuesday morning.
So do the Jets and Bills traders yell at each other?
Occasionally.
They yell at me when they get a win.
Oh yeah, interesting. I'd probably stay away from that, but yeah, I saw that Josh Allen has led the league in interceptions since 2018. Do you think he gets a pass? I feel like that's not mentioned.
You only get
enough.
a pass if you get a Super Bowl win.
I mean, he's done enough, I think, to warrant, because like I always say, he's a gamer, he's tough.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
I mean, look, I would love to have his type of personality as my quarterback. I think anybody would on their team. Obviously, he's having a down year. He's been struggling. I don't think it's too early to close the book on him, obviously. But yeah, there's something going wrong there in Buffalo, and obviously, looking at the schedule, if what I think is going to happen, they end up 500 or a little less, it might be major changes because, like I said, they were primed to win a Super Bowl, and that is definitely not looking like something that's going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah.
Close the book. I'm done with them.
Toast. All right, overreaction or not, Broncos will make the playoffs.
Overreaction. They tried their absolute hardest to lose on Monday night. They've got losses to Washington, the Jets, and Las Vegas. The Bears had them dead to rights up 21, and the Bears blew that lead. And they blew their own halftime lead against the Packers to hold on. They need 9 wins minimum, at least, to get to the playoffs. They got 4 now, so where are the other 5 wins coming from? Versus Minnesota, versus Cleveland, got a little bit easier this morning. At Houston, at Chargers divisional, at Detroit. So then they've got New England, the Chargers, and Las Vegas at the end. So 4 wins at most. That doesn't get them to 9.
Yeah, I think overreaction as well. It's a nice little run they're on, 3 in a row. Beating the Chiefs obviously was a huge game, but yeah, like Craig said, their schedule is tough. It's going to be a challenge. It's good if you're a Broncos fan to see them playing better than last season. Last season was a total unmitigated disaster. Sean Payton's come in. They're playing well. Russell Wilson, like I said, is playing better. But yeah, playoffs, I think it's definitely a stretch.
Yeah, I got overreaction as well. They put together 3 wins, but they also allowed 70 points scored on them against the Dolphins. Played them 28 versus the Bears. I do not think they fixed their problems, and I do not see them playing perfectly in the second half of the season. So, overreactions.
We're all agreeing on a lot of these, which doesn't tend to happen. Overreaction or not, Verstappen wins by half a lap.
Definite overreaction. Way overreaction. Yeah, this is going to be a close race. Usually you don't see those crazy margin of victories on street circuits. So the average lap, I think it's a minute and a half. So that would mean it's going to be, it's too much. Let's just put it that way. Look, the margin of victory, it's anywhere in between like 10 and 15 seconds, the expected margin of victory. So obviously that's not even close to half a lap. So like I said, street courses are big equalizers. Qualifying is super important. So, and 3 of the races he's lost all been street courses. So having him win, that's, he can definitely win, but having him win by that much, that's asking quite a bit.
I got overreaction, but I want to preface this that I'm probably drinking more Red Bulls than minutes watched of F1 races this year. But I think that everything that I'm reading, there's a lot of uncertainty with this Las Vegas course. Not a lot of analytics, obviously the first time on this one. So I don't think that has a recipe for a blowout win. So yeah, I have to say overreaction.
He won Monaco by 37% of a lap. He won Spain by 31% of a lap, and he won Hungary by 41% of a lap. So it's not a massive overreaction, but no.
One thing I do know is we'll likely be rooting for Max Verstappen. His odds the way they are, you're not going to get that average
Yes.
customer betting on something that they have to lay money to win money. No matter how much people like coming to Vegas, they love these big events. Just like when Floyd Mayweather, any big favorite in boxing, you see, hey, I want to bet Mayweather, and you see the return on your investment, it's not that much, so people like to look elsewhere to place their bets. So likely we'll be big Max Verstappen fans come Saturday night.
Yeah, we've got like 5 winners in the book in the whole field because of the odds. It's just so skewed.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, well, let's do our weekly game predictions. Craig, want to start?
Chargers, Packers under 44.
Chargers, Packers under.
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise.
Really an under.
Joey?
I could have cheated and just put a primetime game in, couldn't I?
Yeah, that's true.
That's true. At least not cheating. Give me the Eagles. I'll take the older brother in the Kelsey Bowl matchup. I think it's the moment for the Eagles to prove they are the better team.
I like it.
And you know where I'm going for mine. It's the saddest week of the year. The CFL season is coming to a close. We have the 110th Grey Cup playing in Hamilton, Ontario, so it's a neutral site. Winnipeg, my favorite team, for what it's worth, and Montreal, first time ever meeting in the Grey Cup final. Did you know that? In the 110 years.
I did not know that. I'm sure
not many people did,
didn't know that either.
But no, Winnipeg took care of BC in the Western final. The big story was Montreal. They were double-digit underdogs, playing Toronto, who looked so dominant the whole season. Chad Kelly, Jim Kelly's nephew, the quarterback for the Argonauts, they blew him out of the water. They won 38-17. They've obviously played twice during the year. It was during the summer. Winnipeg won by 30 and 14. This time, Winnipeg's 8.5-point favorites. It opened lower, opened like 6.5, shot up to 8.5. There's some 8s out there. But I think it's going to be a little closer than the score indicates. I think Winnipeg gets the win. But as they say, my pick will be à l'ouest plus 8,5, which means Montreal plus 8.5. That's my selection.
Wow.
A little front seat.
I took 4 years in high school. Can you tell?
Well done.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah. What's your
awesome. Why are you gonna put me on the spot like that? I didn't come with one, but if you want me to give one, just give me a second. I'm going with Raiders over Dolphins.
You better pray that doesn't happen. Right?
Yeah, you're gonna wish you didn't ask. Okay, well, we're just about out of time. This entire conversation will be uploaded to our YouTube channel tomorrow at Caesar Sports. Please toss us a follow if you don't already. Heads up for our listeners, next week we plan to have a special holiday version of Talking with Our Traders on Monday to preview all of those fun Thanksgiving games. Guys, anything you want to say before the weekend?
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah,
All right,
good luck,
good luck.
everyone.